This is our place, come on in. Our place, so glad you're here. Our place, everybody's welcome. We see God on every face. Love lives here in this place. Welcome to our place, our sweet place.
Hi there, friend. I am Reverend Jody Hill Stevenson, the senior minister here at the Center for Spiritual Living Boulder Valley, and I welcome you to our online ministry. We are so excited to share with you our inspiring science of mind philosophy. You know, you're part of a worldwide ministry who believes in the oneness of the divine and the power of positive thinking. I invite you to come on in, open your mind, and welcome into your heart the love and the support that we all have for you. Grab a cup of tea, come on in, and feel our love. We'll see you inside. Thanks for being here.
Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Boulder Valley. My name is Lara Brzezinski, and I'm today's practitioner. Thank you for joining us. If you're comfortable, please close your eyes and settle in as we begin with prayer. Right here today, in this moment, there is only this one moment. And I invite you to just go within and connect to that one source, that one mind, that power that is in, through, and as everything. That divine love and intelligence that is operating through everyone participating in this service today. That divine intelligence that serves and supports and uplifts each and every one. And as I connect to that one mind, that one heart, I claim the divine unfolding of this service, the messages, the music, the people, all divinely guided and inspired. And I know and claim that each person listening hears exactly the message that is spoken for them today. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity for all of us to gather virtually together across time and space in this one same moment, gathering together to be uplifted and supported and loved. And I'm grateful for the love of this community, from all the people putting on this service, supporting this service, and to every being listening to this service, whether it's now or at a later time, and to everyone in the community, everyone on this whole planet. And so from this space of divine gratitude and love, I just release and let go, allowing this service to just unfold as it will. All is well. And so it is. We begin with our purpose, mission, and vision. Please join me in saying these together. Our purpose: celebrating divinity, embracing humanity, and creating community. And our mission: providing tools and support to awaken our community to its spiritual magnificence. And our vision: inspiring and uplifting every one of us to transform the world. I have this white candle sitting here next to me, and I just wanted to point out the significance that every one of us has a light inside. And that light is always there, shimmering, flickering. Each one of us can choose to shine that light even brighter, or we can choose to just be with it. But that light that is within each and every one of us is always present. I have a few readings for you to accompany Reverend DeRusha's message, this thing called life. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. From Steve Jobs. And Abraham Lincoln, in the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years. And from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, life is not just something to be endured. It is to be lived in joy, in a fullness without limit. And I'm going to read our affirmation twice over, and I do invite you to just listen and allow it to settle in and turn inward, closing your eyes if you're comfortable, and just breathing this in. The love of God lives, moves, and has its very being in me. The love of God lives, moves, and has its very being in me.
Alleluia. 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 We are one now. 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 So we sing Alleluia. 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 Alleluia.
Let's take a moment to turn inward and pray. Today, now, here, in every moment, there is only one. One light, one life, one love, one power, one consciousness, one energy flowing in, through, and as every being on this planet. The energy that flaps a butterfly wings, the energy that moves the water in a river, the energy in the ocean current. That energy is the life in me and everyone on this planet. And that energy is the life, the source, the vibrancy that gets each one of us up every moment. That life and that vibrancy that allows us to move, to bend, to sit, to wave our hand, to smile, to chew. And that energy is available to each and every one to reach out to our neighbors, to garden, to hike, to sit on the porch and watch the world go by. It is the energy moving through each and every being, allowing each one to make decisions. How do I want to show up today? What do I want to do today? For that power, that energy is available to each and every one to choose how we go through our lives. Do we choose to wake up and see the world as a beautiful place, as a supportive place, as a place full of opportunities and choices? Or do we wake up and feel we are without choice? The world is against us, or other things along those lines. Every moment we get to choose, for that power of choice is moving within each and every one. And so I just claim today that power for good that's available. And I claim that good is moving in through and as everyone, and that good sparks life and laughter and fun and joy. I just claim for each being listening today that power of good is igniting sparks of activity, of new ideas, new choices, of opportunity to do something different. And I know that each person is that choice each and every moment. And so I just hold the space for more good, more fun, more laughter, more opportunities. Every person listening, every person in this community, and this community as a whole. The good is bubbling up. The good is bubbling out and overflowing. And I am so grateful to be in the presence of holding the space for so much good, so much life to be lived in the individuals and in this community. I am so grateful for this opportunity for each one of us to connect and to be reminded of that life, that spark, that good that is bubbling up from within and out into the world. And I just release and let go, allowing that spark to ignite, allowing this good to go forth into the world, touching others, opening up their hearts and their minds to new possibilities. And I just allow it to unfold in its own divine magnificence. And I affirm powerfully, and so it is.
You've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. People gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful. Woo. You're beautiful as you feel. Waiting at the station with a workday wind blowing. I've got nothing to do but watch passers-by. Mirrored in their faces I see frustration growing. They don't seem to see it. Why do I? You've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. People gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yeah you will, that you're beautiful. Beautiful as you feel. I have often asked myself the reason for the sadness in this world. where tears are just a lullaby. If there's any answer, maybe love can mend the madness. If not, well, we can only try. You've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. People gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful. I said beautiful as you feel. Yay! Happy Sunday.
Thank you, dear Laura and Karen, for bringing your magic and your wisdom to our community. I'm so excited to introduce to you our speaker today. I have known Reverend Dr. Larry DeRusha for many, many, many years. He has authored 3 books, and he is an ordained minister through the Centers for Spiritual Living and Science. And he is the director of the course development at Evolve University. He has an honorary doctorate from the Science and Spirituality nonprofit. He has a BS, MS, and SDSU degree. I mean, he's so fun to sit with and talk. I have had the privilege of staying at their home when I go and speak at the church in St. Louis. And I love just sitting at the kitchen table or flopping down on their living room couch and just talking with Larry about philosophy. He is a true philosopher. I love your wisdom. I love your knowledge of science, Larry, and how you bring this all together. So please sit back and relax and enjoy our wonderful speaker today. Thanks for being here, Dr. Larry.
Center for Spiritual Living in Boulder Valley, Colorado, tuning in. So today I'm going to take us through a little bit of an overview of the book that Ernest Holmes wrote back in, I think, the 30s. It's called This Thing Called Life. I want to start off by reading from the book. I'll do it all the way through. The various passages are really powerful. And it took me about 6 readings over a number of years to understand as much as I have so far. So he says, the world is crying out for God, lost in the canyons of disillusionment, where the trail runs out and stops against granite barriers that wall us in, and we cry, why hast thou forsaken me? He goes on and he's talking here about World War I. When war devastates the land, trembling we stand at the mouth of hell, listening to the screaming airplanes, the wails of the wounded, and the terror that we see in the headlines. We cry, why hast thou forsaken me? And he goes on and he answers the question with, the answer to our need lies not in God's willingness, but in our will to accept, in our ability, through our faith, to recognize the divine presence as the great reality of all life. The power of God within us is like the sleeping giant, which must be awakened that it may spring into action. Ernest is clearly talking about there's something greater within us. There's a power within us that is veiled to us. It's veiled to our mind. And so we miss it. We misunderstand it. We don't know enough about it. We don't practice enough in our life to realize what it is. So we operate our life out of our belief systems, out of the values that are based on our belief systems, out of the experiences that we've had in life, all of which are mental constructs, all of which are part of the ego structure. those mental constructs outpicture in your life by the experiences that you have, good, bad, or indifferent. All it's doing is it's showing you where you're at inside. So we need to understand that there's a power greater that we can use. In other words, when we move to the place of awareness, and we're aware of that power in the silence within us, then the thoughts that we have and the words that we say are in alignment with the flow of life itself. And that's consciousness moving and exploding into the world. So, Ernest says, life is infinite energy coupled with limitless creative imagination. Let's talk about limitless creative imagination. He says, there is a universal wholeness seeking expression through everything. Universal wholeness, we could say today, is the quantum field. We could say that it operates through quantum entanglement. We could call it consciousness. Here he calls it the universal wholeness. He says there's a universal wholeness seeking expression through everything. We're calling it life. The religionists call it God. The philosophers call it reality. Life is infinite energy coupled with limitless creative imagination. Limitless creative imagination. Isn't it interesting how the mind can actually picture something that's not coming through the eyes, but can have a mental image of what that is? It's amazing to me that it can create such a thing. It may be something in the future, it may be something from the past, whatever it is, the imagination can bring it up. That's a power that Einstein knew full well. He talks about he used to go to the field near Princeton and he would lay down looking up at the sky and he would think about experiences, whether they were actual or they were made up. He would think, for example, he thought about a person in an elevator going up, say, 20 or 30 stories rapidly feels heavier. But because they only have the perspective of being inside the elevator, they don't understand why. He was thinking now, what is that? Why is that so? Why does the person feel heavier? They don't understand why. And that started him thinking more about gravity and Newton. And pretty soon, he's off into the theory of relativity. That's one place. Another one, as I recall, was, he called it his thought experiments. He saw a man standing on a platform and looking at a train. And in the train, in the middle of the train, is another man. And lightning strikes the front of the train and it strikes the back of the train to the person who's standing on the platform. But to the person who is in the train, it looks as if there is one flash. That set him thinking about the speed of light. I don't know that that's what I would have come up with, but I would go, wow, that train is fast. But he said, it started me thinking, how fast is light? That also contributed to his theories of relativity. Using his imagination, he was able to come up with these things. He said, I don't solve problems. I imagine experiences and then create the equations that solve the experience. Another person who was quite unique in that respect was Nikola Tesla. How many of you have heard of Nikola Tesla? Everybody's hand went up. Even I could see a few out in the audience that went up. He was born in 56, thereabouts. And remarkable because as a child, he could imagine things in his head. For example, he was a teenager when he imagined in his head an electric motor. And he imagined all the parts, and he imagined all the ways in which it needed to work and what the problems were going to be. And then he drew a picture of it in the sand at the beach. And remarkably enough, he said, I always complete whatever it is in my head before I ever begin to build it. In the electric motor, it worked the very first one that he produced. By the way, that became Tesla car engines. Funny that they use that name. Huh? Elon Musk has a lot of the qualities of Tesla. But Tesla always used his imagination to come up with what was next. When he worked with Edison, Edison was big on DC current. DC is direct current. Problem with direct current is it doesn't go very far. If you've ever seen the pictures of New York City in the early 1900s, they were wiring up for direct current. There were 1,000 wires going from building to building to building, so it was like a spider web all over the place. It was not efficient. Well, Tesla came up with alternating current. We know where that's gone. You could use a power station 1,000 miles or 2,000 miles away and power a city because it would travel that far. Tesla went from there to creating a number of other things, including something I think we're all familiar with today, which is wireless information transfer. You build tower here, and you build a tower here, and you build a tower here, and the information goes wirelessly from tower to tower to tower, which we're now using as cell phones and as radio. Another person who is at the same time, in the same year, doing work with her imagination is Madame Curie. How many of you have heard of Madame Curie? Yeah. Very popular, and there's a new movie out about her. She was Polish, moved to Paris, and she was a really strong-willed person. And in those days, in academia and in research and all, you had to be in order to get through the old boy system that was there at the time. She had come up with radium, a radioactive material, and she and her husband were given the Nobel Prize in physics in, I think it was 1903. She received 2 Nobel Prizes, one in 1903 and the second one was for chemistry in 1916, because she also came up with polonium, another radioactive material. But here's what she did. She took that and understood, and by the way, she died from radiation poisoning. Stands to reason they didn't realize what it did to the body. Here's what she did with it. She created what we now know as the X-ray machine. Her daughter came to see her and said, this thing that you created, we need it because this is World War I. People are dying because they don't understand what's going on in the body of these people that have been shot or broken limbs and so on. First refused consistently because, to go out and use this because she was against war. Her daughter convinced her, we're not going to war, we're going to heal those that are having, acute problems. Creative imagining. Creative imagining is what science uses, creative imagination is what art uses, and the great people of business know full well what creative imagination is all about, such as Elon Musk. So 2 things he said was your limited potential energy and unlimited creative imagination. So let's talk about limitless energy. You have within you, your body, 7 times 10 to the 21st power of atoms. So that's 21 zeros behind the 70. That's a lot of atoms. That's more atoms in your body than all the stars in the sky, all the galaxies in the universe, all the android, and you name it, anything that's in the universe now would fit in your body. Is that amazing? It's also amazing that one person has more energy from those atoms than the atomic bomb that was dropped in Japan. So in addition to that, we have 7 times 10 to the 27th power cells in our body. Why am I bringing this up? Because that's a lot of zeros behind the 7, but it reminds us that every cell can generate 1.5 volts. That means your body can generate over 7 trillion volts of power. In contrast, if you take 3 cells from your body, it can charge your cell phone. If you took all the power in your body, you could power the entire world. Is that limitless energy? So Ernest says in the book, this thing called life, we are conditioned by false thinking, by every form of belief in limitation and fear. We're subjectively reacting and restricting ourselves. The very creative power which we possess, we end up using destructively in our lives. What is he saying? He's saying the power that creates creatively can also create negatively. What you think about, Emerson said, all day long is what you become. What you think about becomes a pattern. The pattern becomes a belief becomes the actions that show up in your life. If you're always thinking negative and what you can't do and who you aren't and so on and so forth, you're going to create that in your life through the experiences that show up in your life. The opposite is also true. Now, athletes understand that when you get to a certain point, say in running, the mind goes quiet and there's just a flow. All great athletes understand this. You have to move into the flow. We have to move into the flow because what we're doing is we're living out of this chain of thoughts that's streaming through from our belief systems, and then they're acting out in our life. We need to move into the flow, just like with the athletes, is you have to train yourself. This is what Ernest Holmes was really saying. This is what we need to do. It's not that hard, but it does take work. Holmes says in the book, by the way, Mary Jean and I have been watching a television show called Fringe. Anybody seen that? It's a sci-fi series J.J. Abrams produced. It was on, I think, CBS I think probably 10 years ago. Anyway, in it, the heroine is an FBI agent, and she has this power within her, but she was unaware of it. And pretty soon, she started to become more and more aware of this extraordinary power that she had. And then she became afraid of it. She was scared of what that power could do. And then she finally realized she could focus it, but she couldn't focus it by using her mind to focus it. She had to let go to the power itself. And then it would do whatever was necessary at that moment in time. That's our journey. Our journey is we didn't know that we had all of this power within us. Now we become aware of the power that we have, and then we get afraid of it and we go, whoa, maybe I better go back to a safe and certain, whatever that was. Yet you have to move through that. You have to get to the place to where you go, wow, that power within me does the work. Can be anything. It's a great story. Great series. It's 5 seasons and we've binged 4 of them for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Holmes says, if you saw an advertisement which read, you can learn how to be well, happy, and successful, you can learn how to influence people, how to create your destiny, would this have a greater attraction for you than an advertisement which read, you can learn how to help others? Or would you be even more intrigued by this advertisement? Do you wish to become the one who is a molder of human destiny? He says later on, he says, we would be thrilled to have any of these, yet we do not know how. We do not even know that we have the power. If we know we have the power and we're afraid of it, then it will be used destructively instead of constructively. He's saying exactly what we were just talking about. Just the same path as the lady in Fringe was doing. So, life, he says, works by affirmation, by being positive, by being strong about who you are, knowing you're the power and the presence of the divine energy moving into the world. He goes on and he says, life works by affirmation. There is no other way for it to work. This is why we are told to be still and to know that all things are possible in God. We are told to affirm, to positively assert, to declare the truth in the face of all apparent opposition, to claim abundance in the midst of poverty, to affirm health in the midst of sickness, to decry joy in the midst of sorrow, and to announce the kingdom of heaven is here. Throughout this book, he uses not only the Christian tradition, but the Buddhist tradition, the Hindu tradition, the Talmud. He quotes all of them. He covers all of his bases here. To be still means to calm the mind, to know the silence. That's what meditation is all about. For years, I labored under the understanding that meditation was simply about calming the mind. It is not simply about calming the mind. It is a way of calming the mind. But what it is about is it's tracking back to the source who you actually are. Its meaning is, and by the way, meditation and prayer were synonymous 2,000 to 3,000 years ago. Because you started in meditation and then you declared what it was you wanted to create in the world. That's what Ernest Holmes brings to us as well, through treatment work. Sometimes we have to allow the mind to slow down, and then at some point we have to know there's something that's aware that the mind is slowing down. What is that? What is that that knows that there's a conversation going on in your head? What is that? What is it that knows that there's a body-mind here? Because anything that can be observed must not be who you are. So we have to come back to the source. That's what Ernest is talking about. When you come back to the source, you've come back to the power and presence of the divine. You've come back to quantum entanglement, to the field of consciousness. And that's where this creative power comes from. So let me finish up. Ernest says, here's one of the instructions he gives in the book. He says, life at the center of your being is the silent power. It comes to you as feeling, as conviction, and as inner awareness. Whatever you speak, speak from that inner awareness, consciously recognizing that power. And there is a flowing of your words that endows that power with creation itself. That's a clear statement of creating. He goes on and he says, we must seek the source of life if we would live, and no longer seeing as through a glass darkly, we shall be gently led from our canyons of disillusionment into the fertile valley of peace through which flows the river of life. Being individuals, the choice is ours. Being divine, we seek freedom. We are seeking what we are seeking with. And being immortal, we will definitely find it. This thing called life, is your power, is infinite energy, is infinite creativity. And like any superhero, you can be the hero of your own life if you want it bad enough. Take a deep breath. Breathe deeply into your heart. Feel yourself where you are right now. Your whole body is relaxing. Your mind is relaxing. Feel the peace of knowing that you are infinite, eternal. There's a power within you you can use it anytime. As you let go of the past, let go of the future, and be here now, all is well. For there's no birth, there's no death, there's no beginning, there's no ending. There's only now. Without thoughts, sensations, memories, associations, feelings, emotions, we are still here. The I of I am. You should take another deep breath. Feel the joy of being. Know that there's only consciousness. That's the one. That if there's only one, you are the one. That power and presence is within you, and you have access to it when you still the mind and open yourself to that higher space, that greater consciousness, that everything necessary for absolute perfection in this moment moves in, through, and into the world. Everything is until the thought of it being something else intrudes. Feel the truth of who you are, that all the great masters and all the great religions have told us. I and the Father are one. I and consciousness are one. I and the infinite. That's all there is. As we relax into that knowingness, I give thanks. I give thanks because that is the truth with a capital T. And so it is.
So it is.
You know there's just one purpose, just one light, shining on the world like a beacon in the night. Just one presence we all can share. Just one power everywhere. Just one power, just one love, big as the ocean and the skies up above. Just one spirit waiting in prayer. Just one power everywhere. know there's just one power everywhere. Just one purpose, just one spark, burning in our souls like a candle in the dark. Just one chorus we all can sing. Just one power, let it ring. Just one power, just one love, big as the ocean and the skies up above. There is just one spirit waiting in prayer. Just one power everywhere. You know there's just one power everywhere. Talking about just one power. 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 Just one power everywhere. Just one presence. Just one light shining in the world like a beacon in the night. Just one presence we all can share. Just one power everywhere. One great power, one great love, big as the ocean and the skies up above. One great spirit waiting in prayer. One great power everywhere. You know there's one great power everywhere. One great power everywhere. One great power everywhere.
Thank you, Dr. Larry, so much for being here today. It's just people like you that we know we are all in good hands, especially spiritually. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. The Center for Spiritual Living Boulder Valley is a spiritual community and way of life, really. We commit to living a way of life that honors all pathways to God and helps people to discover their magnificence and their personal relationship with the divine. Is there anything better? I don't think so. To lead a spiritual life, to be spiritual first, and then take care of our physical life is really the way to a peaceful mind and joyful heart. So now is the time to give our offerings to our community. I invite you now to join me in making a sacred, soulful investment and a giving from the heart, if you will. We know that we live in a lavishly abundant universe and that we are each individualized expressions. So there's no need to struggle, and there's every need to give joyously and then to welcome our great gifts from the universe. So please hold your energy at your heart. I personally like to write checks, but I'm in my 70s now and I've been writing checks forever. So I like to do that. Hold your check or your energy of giving and repeat with me. This perfect gift is spirit and form, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give and joyously I receive. And so it is. Thank you, God.
I'd just like to remind you that this community is supported by a prayer team of practitioners, and we would love to pray with you or for you. You can find our contact information on the website under the Ministries tab or at cslbouldervalley.org/prayer. There's also an online form that you can fill out on that page, and your prayer request will be sent to us. We will all lend our collective consciences in prayer for you. Reach out if you'd like support through a challenge or an anchoring of celebration. We're here. And please join me in saying our benediction together.
I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here. I said I'm only here. One more time. I said I'm only here for God.
Original music written and performed by Karen Karsh. Copyright held by Karen Karsh Crystal Music. All rights reserved.
Love lives here.